I was muted. What is going on, everybody? Everybody. I'm so thankful for everyone, man. I'm running behind today, but I've had a big day. I will fill you in with everything I've been doing, with everything that is going on in crypto. We're going to go over Nvidia earnings. We're going to go over what's going on with BTC, what's going on with altcoins. We're going to go over absolutely all of it, guys. Let me get one thing out real quick, and make sure you retweet the room, whether on YouTube or X. I know primarily we have a lot of folks over on X, but if you're wondering why I am dressed like this today, and I normally do not dress like this today, it's for good reason. It is for good reason, and I'll tell you in just a second. I need to get a sponsorship with Nespresso. That's what I need. I need to get a sponsorship with Nespresso. But if you're wondering why I am dressed up like I am today, I had an interview with Anthony Pompliano earlier this morning. I was incredibly thankful for the opportunity. We're going to have it out, pretty soon. We're having it out pretty soon, the interview with Pomp. He's somebody that's very well respected in the world of finance. 2 million subs over here on X, a million or whatever on YouTube, always on CNBC, everything like that. So for him to give me the light of day, I'm very, very appreciative of that opportunity and very, very happy. But I said, why would I get changed? Why would I want to get changed when I had a big day today? Why wouldn't I just stay dressed up, looking good, looking fresh like that, Now I don't have any pants on them, so no, I'm just joking. I do. I wonder how some people do it when they're working from their desk all day. But it was super cool. Anthony's a super good guy. We talked about a lot of stuff. We talked about what's going on with Bitcoin. We talked about AI. We talked about the whole stock market, the narrative, and what's the big moves coming forward. So keep an eye out for that in the very, very near future. We'll have clips all over X. And I think we may have just posted one. I think my guy said that we posted one, or there'll be one coming out soon. But I want to break down a lot of stuff, guys. But just again, shout out to Anthony Pompliano for coming on my channel. I wanted to do it live, like Bill O'Reilly. Let's just do it live. Let's do it live. But times were kind of mixing up, and I know how busy I am, and I could only imagine how busy this man is doing all of his shows and doing everything that it takes part to. Before we get started, as always, guys, I just want to do my little disclaimer. I'm not a financial advisor. Nothing I say is financial advice. Always do your own research. You wouldn't want to listen to some schmuck on the internet anyways, right? My wife don't even listen to me. Why would y'all want to listen to me? But I appreciate every one of y'all for being here. And let's get cooking, guys. I do want to say shout out to our stream sponsor, Blowfin. There will be a link down below to join Blowfin if you want to look for a new exchange to potentially do some trading that I have been using. But let's look at it. Yesterday, when we started the stream, this was all green. Okay, everything was green. Everything looked great. Now we're looking at it. Doesn't look so great. But let's just break this down one at a time and see where we are. Good morning, though. But if you could retweet the space over on X or the stream, I would greatly appreciate it. And yeah, let's break it down. So this is what we talked about yesterday on stream. We talked about this right here, this channel right here. And guys, I got a little ahead of myself yesterday. I was thinking we broke out of this and was going to retest, but that was a good opportunity to take along with the tight stop loss, and that's what I did. I got out, not hurt too much from that. But now we just got to readjust. We got to readjust everything, So now we can leave that right there. We can come here and we can come here. But what caused all this? That's what we need to get into. And Nvidia beat earnings yesterday, which was a really big deal. Like I was talking about, if Nvidia had not beat earnings yesterday, we probably would have cratered. The entire market would have cratered. And I'm trying to see the post that I made, but let's see. Golly, anything I posted about Nvidia got like 10,000 views right off the rip. But Nvidia beat earnings. This is very big for everything. Everything's wanting to follow it. Everyone's wanting to follow what's going on with the leading AI company in the world, you know? And so Nvidia beat earnings. And mind you, the market cap of Nvidia is like 4.7 trillion doll hairs, okay? Which, just to put that in perspective for you, the market cap of Nvidia right now is currently twice the overall crypto market cap and 4 times Bitcoin's market cap. So if you ever wonder, are we early to this industry? Are we late to this industry? Then that's I think that kind of answers the question. But obviously, the leader of the pack is Nvidia. And so because of that, we've got to keep an eye on it whenever there is earnings. And it was pumping yesterday into earnings. On this live stream, I also said that I expected, if no matter what, that it would sell off going out of earnings, buy the rumors, sell the news, things like that. And so that's what happened. But earnings per share beat by 5 cents. Okay. But revenue beat by a couple billion. So this is really good. This is really good. Now there's some interesting things going on with Nvidia because a lot of their customers can't afford to buy the chips from them, whether it's XAI, whether it's OpenAI, any of that, because they haven't got the return on investment yet from all the expenditures. CapEx is going out the roof. And so they're basically financing these companies. And so it's kind of interesting to see how it's all going to play out. So you've got the distributor, Nvidia, financing this person. And so it's kind of like a flywheel. You hear about like OpenAI and Nvidia investing in this other company. So it's kind of interesting how it's all playing out, and we'll see if it's sustainable. But for now, the party continues to roll on. And so that's why we've seen a little pump out of Bitcoin right now, or yesterday. And then it sold off overnight, and it really sold off this morning. If we want to kind of come to a LTF, like a low time frame, and if there's any altcoins y'all want us to look at, just let me know specifically. But I was kind of tracking this right here, and we broke out of it to the downside. This was right around market open, and stock sold off, Nvidia sold off, all of that. So this is what I'm looking at. I don't think that it's over. I don't think anything like that. But I put something in my Discord earlier and was telling them that, even if we do get to 74, even if we get to 75K, even if we get to 80K, 90K, I would not expect a new all-time high before we make another low. Now, I could always be wrong. I'm not a financial advisor, but that's kind of how I take a look at these things, is that, the market, it's kind of weak right now. We need liquidity. And that's something I talked about with Anthony earlier, is that we need liquidity to come in. We've got a new Fed chair coming in mid-May, and so that'll help a lot. But we have some FUD, some stuff to go over. There's been a lot of manipulation happening in these markets. So let's get into that. Back that boy in. Okay, there's the Anthony Pomp interview. Let's go over this. Let's go over this Zach XBT article. This was very, very anticipated, we can say. And I'm not going to lie, it's a little underwhelming. I was thinking it was going to be something that was like a big shocker, like a liquidity provider was doing stuff or something like we've seen with Jane Street. That's not what we got. But basically what it is this folk right here, Brooks, and it looks like he's deleted all of his tweets, which probably is not smart from a legal standpoint. But he worked for Axiom, okay, which came out and became one of the most profitable, companies in crypto with lots of revenue. And basically what it comes out to is, from my understanding of reading this, is that, people have referral links. So if an influencer has a referral link, he'll get a piece of the feeds that anyone who refers. The same way that if somebody was to sign up for Blowfin, make a trade, I would get a portion of the fees generated from the trade, right? That's how referrals work. It's normal. But what they were able to do, allegedly, from this article, is that there was workers that found out like what Marcel's or what these different influencers wallets were, and then they were able to track their wallet, get into whatever meme coin or whatever they got into, and then get into it before they talked about it publicly to their community, because whenever they talk about it, obviously the price goes up because people, it's a lot of attention on it. And hopefully people did their own research prior, but it's pretty interesting to see this right here. So you can see one of the targeted KOLs was Marcel, a trader with a poor reputation for using his followers on X and Telegram as exit liquidity. He was targeted due to buying a large portion of the token supply for meme coins, known as bundling, from private wallets before promoting them to their followers. Traders like Marcel are prime targets for this type of abuse, since address reuse is less common and private wallets are rarely public, which makes privileged info much more valuable. So these guys that worked, or these people allegedly that worked at Axiom, they knew what Marcel's wallet was. When he would buy something, they would buy it. They would shill it to the community and go from there. So it's pretty interesting. Yeah, there's the Blowfin, the official sponsor. The link's down below. Good morning, brother GMG. Yeah, I'm sorry, bro. I meant to send you the link. I know I'm supposed to send y'all the link, but I was very busy with the Anthony Pompliano interview this morning, and I was just totally running behind. But tomorrow I'll make sure to send it to the fam. And so this was a little bit underwhelming. If we went over to Polymarket, we could see what they were kind of expecting. There were rumors that it was like Mexi, that it was other people. If we come over, let's see, Zach XBT. Let's see if it's still up. Okay. This is what day. Let's go over here. We might be able to see. So you could see it opened up. Axiom was leading pretty much the whole time. Or that's just later. Let's go to a week. It hasn't been that long. Yeah, so Axiom was pretty much leading the whole time. It didn't make a ton of sense. Dex Screener, that didn't make a ton of sense. OpenSea, it was funny. Somebody said, is it an NFT company? And he said, I said profitable. And so it definitely wasn't that. I was hoping it wasn't like Aave or something like that. Binance, obviously there's a lot of FUD around Binance, but after that Jane Street article came out, if y'all haven't seen that, it's very interesting how all the manipulation has happened. But yeah, so Axiom employees. So this is not Axiom, the company. I'm not saying Axiom, the company is bad, but it was some trusted employees that had information. And when they had that information, they exploited it. And but yeah, overall crypto, I think we're looking pretty good. If we could maybe kind of call this a bull flag. I don't know. It's breaking down pretty hard. But if we kind of stay like this, we ideally wouldn't want it to drop too terribly much. Like if you take a look at this one, this smaller one, you could see it retraced. Bitcoin on this pump retraced to the 618 fib level. If we take a look at where we're at now and redraw this as a pump, if we were to retrace to the 618 fib level, we're there now, and so hopefully it turns around. Obviously we got to see what happens in the stock market and everything, but this right here, I might actually look at this. If we come back and tag this level here, I might actually look at opening a long, not financial advice, don't do it, but what I'm wanting to do. And yeah, maybe. I mean, something like this is what I like to do, because I can pick the stop loss pretty easy, right? Like, okay, if we break underneath it, then we're good to go. But let's go over to CoinGlass and take a look at how the liquidity looks, because that's really what we should be looking at, is what potential liquidity pockets do we have up above. And so we have a ton of liquidity right here at about 69K. And how much is that? About 51.6 million. So not like a huge amount. Let's go back a month. This will get us to the end of January. Now you can see up here is like $250 million worth at 85K. It doesn't show a lot at 90, but I'm sure there's a lot at 90. But you can kind of see how the liquidity works. Like we came up here, we tagged this liquidity and probably got a lot of longs trapped. Kind of like I would have did if I wouldn't have taken a stop loss. You know, people tend to be very bad traders. You know, most people are not good traders. And so they don't take trades when things have capitulated. They take trades when there shows strength in the market, right? So after you have a huge pump, like what happened over the last day of 10%, and then you see, you know, a little bit of life, Nvidia beating earnings, things like that, then you take a long. And, you know, now that person is down 5%. If they're on 10x leverage, they're now down 50%, right? So you can see how that can work and how what is a powerful tool can be a dangerous tool. So you always have to be extremely smart when doing this. But the 618 is holding for now. Like I said, that's what we came to on this level right here. So hopefully that holds. I think it's pretty normal to get a retrace after having a 10% pump. You know, if you look at it, we're still, you know, about 6% up from where we were just at the lows a couple days ago. And if you look at from the lows, we hit right at 60 a couple weeks ago. So if you wanted to say 60, we're still 11% up from that. So it really just depends on what your time frame is, what you're looking at, things like that. But the liquidity right now that looks advantageous is here at 85K. So what's the likelihood that Bitcoin is able to hit 85K? You know, we've got a couple levels that we got to get over. Let's clear this out. So let's go mark out, like I like to do, our obvious resistances. So if we take a look at this and we want to look at what are levels that are going to be resistance levels. Obviously, we're already at 1, but this level right here, which is the height of what we were able to do from this pump down here up to here, it's 20%. And after this, I want to look at altcoins that I think are showing strength comparative to anything else in the market. Then if you come right here, we've got this level. This is at 80. If you come right here, this is a big level. And let me redraw that, and I'll tell you why in a second. So if we look at this right here, this is really the highest I could see us going. And I mean, I guess we could push up to 90, but I don't see it being likely. There's a lot of history with this line right here. If we just go back a few months, you know, it was support, it was support, it was support, it was resistance right here, right? And so this is a level, if I'm going to be wanting to open up a short, that, you know, I would want to do like this level right in here. And so we'll keep this marked on it. And let's get to some altcoins. Aptos is a massive coin to be buying under $1. Let's go look at Aptos. I know it's here. Maybe they don't have a USDC pair. I'm on the USDC. I'm sure they have a USDT pair for Aptos. No way. I know they got it. Yeah, I could try that. There we go. Shout out to my boy giving me the ticker. Okay, so first let's go back and look all-time chart. Wow. Okay, Let's go over to coin market cap so we can look it up under market cap and see what kind of inflation there's been. So if we come over here, go to the weekly and look at it this way, and then take a look at the chart, take a little mental snap, then click over to market cap. Okay, so there you can kind of see the difference. So let me take a snip of that real quick. So, okay. So if we take a look, and you're not going to be able to see the snip, but if we come here, let's click back. Okay, you can see how the price was 20 here. However, the market cap was only 3 here. So there's been a lot of dilution in the last little bit. If we come up here, it was at 8 bill market cap. And if we go back to price and we look here, it was about $15. So Aptos is definitely something that has inflation. So it's something to think about. What's your favorite thing about Aptos? Why are you so sold on it? Aptos is within the World Liberty financial portfolio. Is that your main thing? Wanting to ride the Trump wave? See, Disciple Bridge or Disciple goes live on Aptos with a 58 mil war chest and Stripes Bridge. Yeah, I like Aptos. Aptos is the fastest, most efficient way to move value globally. The future of money movement isn't coming. It's already here. Aptos was made for this moment. Founded by the team behind Libra DM, Aptos bringing that vision to life. Instant, cheaper, and more reliable value. Movement built to scale for billions. Engineered for traders, institution, and founders who deserve the industry's best technology without compromise. Wells I know are going to ape it. Are they already aping it? It's down pretty low. 45 millisecond block times, almost $1 billion in RWAs. Aptos is one I do not own right now. Stable coins and payments. Let's come over here to DeFi Llama and do a breakdown of Aptos. So TVL of 336 million. Wow. Almost 2 billion in stable coins. That's a lot. I mean, this looks healthy. This is like something I would want to look at, because the ecosystem is growing, right? Like, okay, the price of the token is going down, but you can see how the stable coins is continuing to appreciate. They're right now almost at all-time high stable coins. What about the chain fees? Like, how much money are they being able to make? That's the only thing. It's like the chain makes like $500 a day, It's a very good buy under $1 if you hold under 2027. That's what the comment says. Yeah. I know a couple people that are really big on it. My buddy Peter from House of Crypto, really good guy. I know he's really big on Aptos. He likes it a lot. But it's just been beat down bad. But what hasn't, right? Everything's been kind of beat down bad when we take a look at it. But, there is going to be some things that pop off, some things that look gone, are going to pop off big time. Let's go take a look at BitTensor. This is one that I think is showing strength. And the reason I say it's showing strength is because this run it had right here was a run that happened without Bitcoin. It was running on its own. And I think that decentralized artificial intelligence is inevitable. I think we've got to have decentralized AI. And whenever we look at all these large companies that OpenAI, XAI, Claude, don't like the thought of having centralized artificial intelligence, especially when it's such powerful of a tool. And so I like to look for things that have runs outside of what, BTC is doing. So if we were to come down here and tag this 158 level, that would make a lot of sense. Not only is it the 786 fib level, but if we also take a look, and if we delete this right here, you can see that's been support, resistance, and then it broke through it right there. So that would make a lot of sense as a level. TNSR. Let's go take a look at it. XMR will also be a prime. Yeah. Do you like XMR over Zcash? Showing a lot of strength, man. The privacy narrative. So this is kind of an upward trend line that I would like to see it get back above. You see it kind of fell underneath it, but this is all just real simple, technical analysis and stuff like that. But if we kind of draw it from the bodies, so if we come over here, yeah, I think it probably needs to get above that. Let's go look at ZEC, see how that looks. So that's that massive run. Man, I made like a generational short on this thing. And it took me 3 tries to do it too. I like shorted it with a tight stop loss because my trading, I always like to go for highs and lows. And because I feel like that's a good risk reward ratio, because like at an all-time high, I know that I could set my stop loss, slightly above that. Or at an all-time low, I could set it slightly under that, right? And I believe my philosophy with trading is that a good trader takes frequent losses, but small losses, right? So like if you're taking 2% losses and you take 6 of them, but then whenever you get a win, it's a 500% win or something like that. I think that's a good trading philosophy. So I took it up here somewhere around this level, and it took me a few tries to get it, but I got it and I wrote it down to from like this level down to like 300 on multi-X leverage. So it was pretty good. Like I said, never financial advice, but that is what I did there. But yeah, let's see if this can hold this right here. One thing that Zcash has going for it is there's a lot of influencers talking about it, right? There's a lot of attention on that. I'm done with that Anthony Pompliano interview. I can take this off. Just playing. Let's get up with that. I'm only buying BTC, Sol, and XRP. Yeah, I like XRP. I met some really good XRP guys, man, at the Ethereum event. XRP. Let's come over here and look at it. The only thing people haven't been able to explain to me is these like extremely bullish price predictions on XRP, because when we're taking a look at XRP, I mean, it's an 85 billion market cap, right? So it's a fairly large market cap already. And there's people that say, oh, it's going to 10K, it's going to 5K. And I don't understand how that math works. But let me go show you who I met at the Ethereum event. This gentleman named Stone. We met. We went to a Empress, my friend. She scheduled something. We went to this place, had drinks, had some food, and right here we met Stone and Mr. Zam. This gentleman right here. And this gentleman, this is Stone right there. That's him without a cartoon image and stuff. He hosts a lot of morning shows, things like that every day. He actually inspired me to get back in the gym, man. I'd been working so much. I hadn't been getting in the gym, but I got back in the gym the last couple of days, and it feels good. It feels good to get some pumps in, you know what I'm saying? Get that Freeman muscle. Get that Freeman muscle going on, because I just work a lot, you know. But now I'm full-time content and stuff, so it should help. I need to stop making excuses. But yeah, Solana, let's go take a look at Solana right now. I want to go, because the chart only goes back as far as it was listed on the exchange. So I mean, we're at a pretty important level, I would say, for Solana, you know, anywhere in here. But there's currently 8% inflation right now with Solana. So 8% a day or 8% a year. And one thing that's a bullish catalyst for Solana going forward is that Mertz talked about reducing the Solana inflation to 4%. So if Solana's inflation was reduced down to 4%, that would make more sense in me looking at Solana as a long-term asset, you know, because it is inflationary. If we come over here and take a look at Solana and do the same thing I did a second ago when we look at price action versus where we look at market cap. If you look at price alone, you're like, oh, wow, Solana barely made a new all-time high. However, if you go to market cap, you could see, oh, wow, Solana actually made a major all-time high, like, you know, 80% all-time high. But like I said, if you look at price, it doesn't look like that. So what does that mean? That means if you were holding Solana back here, even though the market cap made a 50% all-time high or 80% all-time high, that really the token only went up, you know, 12%, you know. So it's just something that people have to be understanding with, you know. Whenever Solana gets high, I swap into like USDC or stables versus swapping into Sol. Because if you're trading, like say you're trading a Solana coin and you swap from meme coin to Sol, you're essentially opening up another trade. You know what I mean? And so, because if you do that at 200 Sol price and then it goes down to 80, well, you're just in a trade that went down 60, 70%. So I think it's important for us to think about that and everything. But yeah, I like Solana. Right now, the main things I'm looking at is I do like XRP. I want to get a little XRP. I think Chainlink's very undervalued. Let's do the market cap test on this. So you take a look at this. You can see it hit $52 before. Currently, it's $9. If we go to market cap and we look, there's been some inflation, but not too terribly much. If we take a look, it's currently about 70% circulating. But this is the number one oracle, you know. But again, when we look at some of these charts, kind of looks like crucial levels. You know what I mean? Like that's a pretty crucial level right here. Boom, boom, boom. You know? So hopefully it's able to hang on. I mean, this is one that it's definitely not going away though. Wow, Canton's up to 14th in overall market cap. Shout out to Canton, man. I met him at on-chain or at the ETH Denver event. I met Canton at the ETH Denver event, and they have a totally legit team. I mean, they are legit people, and they've got a lot of partnerships, real world assets. I mean, they're doing real things over at Canton. You take a look at this. Network looks strong, 3.4 mil in daily fees compared to, like we just looked at Aptos, 1,000 a day in fees, right? So you've got to make sure that they're generating fees. You have a team, they have, employees that work for them, and so something like Canton, I think, could really make a big push in the real world asset sector. And it's just held on so strong. I mean, look at this chart. If we just look at this chart, it's like sell off, pump, sell off, pump, sell off. Are we going to make a new pump? We have to see. But Canton, it was 16th or 17th like a week ago, and it's already grew to 17th overall. I mean, if you take a look at that, just moving from like 18th right here with this to 14th, that's $1 billion, and then when you scroll down a little bit, you're like, wow. That's the entirety of what Caspa's market cap is, Let's take a look at Caspa. This is one that I love. I think the tech's so good. It's just getting the tech in front of people. So it tagged the 886 fib level pretty dang good. Yeah, it could be done. I mean, there's a big theory about altcoins. Like, could we potentially be going into an altcoin season? If we come over, let's go take a look at BTC dominance. And we'll see where so this is Bitcoin dominance. Not really showing any strength, It's under this level of support. And so this is kind of the argument for an altcoin season, is if Bitcoin dominance falls. If Bitcoin dominance continues to fall. Let's come look at the daily. So you see this trend line right here, we broke under it on Bitcoin dominance, boom, popped up, and now we're down. So that's kind of the argument for an altcoin season. Like, could we be having an altcoin season come? Because not only do you pair it with this, if you take a look at where everything is right now with Bitcoin dominance, and then you take a look at where altcoins look like Caspa, right? If you look at Caspa, if you look at XMR, if you look at any of these coins, XRP, a lot of them look like they're like end of the bear market lows. Whereas if you look at BTC, it looks like it may still have a little room to go. And so, could we have an altcoin push? It's interesting. But, even if we don't have an altcoin push for absolutely everything, the reason I think that there is potential here is in certain assets such as BitTensor, things that we have seen pump on their own. Like I said, this initial pump happened before BTC was pumping. If we take a look at this happened without Bitcoin. Bitcoin was not pumping, and this found a low and pumped 45%. So it's a pretty big deal. Pretty big deal. So this is the kind of things I want to look at and watch strength wise. Let's see. But look at Circle. This is one that, who else do we have? Okay, let me remember that. Yo, what's up, Miss Crypto Empress? A great friend of mine. Seems like everything crypto-wise is leaning bearish. It seems like XRP sold, BTC still have a ways to go. Yeah, potentially. But, I mean, when have the masses ever been right? You know, like everyone thinks we're going lower, right? So when have the masses ever been right? Whenever everyone's agreeing on something, it makes you wonder, right? But I talked about this on stream when it was like 52 bucks. I personally acquired my Circle. I bought like 30K worth at around 60 bucks, $61 or something. And then they had earnings come out yesterday, 73 bucks. Just earlier today, it was 85 bucks. So even from yesterday morning when I posted this to here, it went up another 20%. This is the company behind USDC. And so stable coins, there's no doubt about it. Stable coins aren't going absolutely anywhere. This is going to be massive, 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 massive. Let's come look at Circle here. I mean, just putting in massive moves, man. Look at this. We got RSI pegged out on the daily now. So maybe we're going to cool down. Let's look at the weekly. You know, so this IPO'd at $31. So even though the chart starts right here, it really starts right here. Okay. And so let's change that to black. And so this thing popped off, went to 300 bucks. That tells you the interest from Wall Street to be able to get into, you know, stable coins and things like that. And so it absolutely popped off. It came down. It tagged the 786 fib level perfectly. And then with earnings coming out, good earnings, it pretty much popped off. But we're at this level right here. So we'll have to see what comes from that. This is a pretty strong, you know, it's a short life of a chart, but you know, it's actually available over here as well, which is pretty cool. Circle. So yeah, guys, if anyone's looking for a new exchange, like I said, our stream sponsor, and they've been a pleasure to work with, guys, but there will be links down below if anyone wants to look for a new exchange. But yeah, it tagged that level right there. So we'll see. I think the stable coins are the most bullish narrative in crypto for the next 5 years. And I'm not saying, you know, me buying USDC because hopefully it stays at $1. But I'm just talking about the industry of stable coins. There's a ton of demand for global stable coins. And whenever we take a look at how much further, you know, USDC could potentially go just from a dominant standpoint. You know, Tether is currently 183 billion market cap. And if you take a look at USDC, it's still only 75 billion market cap. And so, you know, let's say we get the Clarity Act pushed through in a couple months, which will help a lot with stablecoin growth. And the United States really does become the leader in crypto, then what if, you know, USDC was able to flip Tether? What if USDC was able to have twice or 3 or 4 or 5 or 6 times the stable coins? You know, what would that do to their earnings? You know, I drew a fib on this, like a target fib on this the other day, assuming the low's in. Some pretty bullish targets, right? A full extension would be this. 1,100 bucks. Obviously, you have a huge psychological level at 1,000. You've got this level right here, the 3.618 there. You've got the 2.618 here. And so for me personally, my investment is I'm going to take some off the table at the previous all-time high and then also, play it on these levels, probably via a trailing stop. But there's no doubt Circle is a legit company. Right, still a 50-50. Yeah, I mean, we can, the good thing is there's a lot of volatility, and that's good for traders. Having a lot of volatility is good for traders. But everything's going to go by Bitcoin. The only thing that we have seen move outside of Bitcoin, to my knowledge, has been over the last, like, let's say 3 months. We've seen Zcash move outside of Bitcoin. And then we've recently seen Bitensor Tau move outside of Bitcoin. And so other than that, everything else is kind of just like a Bitcoin ETF. Like if Bitcoin goes up, it goes up. If everything else goes down, it goes down. And so whenever I look at trading in this time frame, it's like I might as well just trade BTC, if I'm gonna be trading. Yeah, let's go look at what's happening on crypto Twitter. You need an AI to keep up with AI. Claude, what can you do to me today? Uh-oh. Breaking. Trump media accusing Jane Street, amongst others, of naked short selling in a letter to Congress. Trump media called for a full investigation into Jane Street, Citadel, and others. Now Jane Street is facing a second lawsuit and claims it wiped out over $40 billion in value. Well, you know who I want to suit against? Trump coin. That thing drained the absolute trenches. But let's read this. DJT may be subject to illegal naked short selling. Huh? This is a good article. Empress wrote it. It's just kind of talking about, everyone's always so fearful of BTC going to zero. Is Bitcoin going to zero? There's all this FUD, whether it's the files, whether it's, like being able to hack Satoshi's wallet and all that. But the fact of the matter is we've been here before, and so what she kind of breaks down, and I recommend everyone going to read this, is kind of what happens after the halving events. What is a Bitcoin halving? Like, this is a very good educational piece for people that they can take a look at. And then here is a good price history, right? The first bull run, we had an 87% drawdown for BTC. Then we had an 84% drawdown. Then we had a 77% drawdown. And so you can see as Bitcoin has matured that the drawdowns have become less and less and less. So 87, 84, 77. Let's say that falls to a 70% drawdown for BTC this time. So if we come take a look at that, if it was a 70% drawdown for BTC, about 38K, which that would correspond with some levels, some historic levels. It's been support here before. We also have this right here to watch. I think this is a pretty strong level because right back here, right back there, right there. So it's interesting. We'll see what happens. I think shorter term trading is the best thing right now. So how could this look like? let's take a look at some things. So we marked these off as levels. This is also going to be a level we need to look at. That's 77K. You know, so could we do something like this? Sure, why not? Kind of makes sense. I mean, I'm still sticking with the thesis that I think we're going to bottom sometime. I think alts, if they're not already bottom, they're going to bottom around summertime, early summertime. And if alts do bottom around there, I still expect BTC to bottom around September or October, just because we have the new Fed chair coming in mid-May. Liquidity is going to be flowing through the system. So let's say they cut interest rates a lot and they run the economy hot. It takes 6 months for that to flow through the economy. And then we also have legislation with the Clarity Act coming through. So I think all that's going to be bullish things for the market. Let's look at ETH. If Vitalik's done selling. But you can see what I mean by, you know, why I might as well trade BTC or something, because all these charts kind of look the same. You know, if they're not running without BTC, then they're just following BTC. And so that's kind of my opinion on it. But yeah, it's a really good article by Crypto Empress. What is this? Look at that, dude. Really, Zach? Seriously, you're wasting time on these tiny little fish nobody cares about? Go after the real sharks. Jane Streak, Wintermute, the big firms. Yeah, it was kind of a nothing burger for that thing. It's kind of a nothing burger. You know, like an hour into the stream, around 1 o'clock, we always get like triple the people in here. And so maybe I try to live stream tomorrow at 1 o'clock. Maybe we try out different times. Maybe we even shift it to market close and take a look at that. What's going on market close? We'll try a few different things, see how that works. If you don't use lists, I definitely recommend them. You can kind of take out all the noise. This list is actually called signal over noise. What do y'all think about aliens? Are aliens coming?
And that to me is the aliens, or do we give alien? What is that? Aliens and all the aliens. And that to me is the
I think that's LARP. I think he was saying like illegal aliens. I don't think he was saying actual aliens. Let me go to my custom list. No one seems to be doing TA on crypto at night live. Aliens are already here. Man, maybe Elon's an alien. But yeah, going back to this, man, I try to have good work-life balance. I mean, I work all the time, but my kiddos get home. I'm a head coach of my son's football or baseball team and stuff. So I can't do TA like too late at night, but I could do market close. I think market close could be a good one. I think there's a lot of attention in market close. I know Thread Guy, he is around that time. But it's kind of a different audience too. I mean, I'm not like you know, I mean, tons of respect for Thread Guy. He does amazing, but I'm not really like a young cat that's I mean, I'm 31, but I got kids and stuff. I'm not a kid, you know what I mean? Yeah, it's just a different audience. So Michael Burry sees Nvidia purchase commitments similar to Cisco near the peak of the dot-com bubble. So this is what I was talking about earlier, that right now you basically have Nvidia. They're wanting to sell all these chips. However, these companies don't have the money to buy these chips. So what's happening is that, you know, what Nvidia is doing is basically self-financing these purchases. So they're basically giving OpenAI, giving XAI these chips, and they're financing it from Nvidia. So it's like giving the product early and then getting paid later. But what happens if XAI, OpenAI, any of these platforms or any of these companies aren't able to repay that, right? Repay those loans. So it's I mean, it's a good take. I think it's a good take. Burries.com calls often miss timing. Yeah, but he did short Palantir and he did a lot of good shorts. SPF backed DCCPA. You know what's funny? If we come over here and look, let's look at my followers. SPF followed me yesterday. I thought that was kind of funny. Sam Bankman-Fried, which he's in prison from FTX, right? FPF's words posted through a proxy. Yeah, I just thought that was funny. Let me see if we got a clip posted. I think I know we were trying to get a clip posted from this interview with Anthony Pompliano this morning. I'll try to get it out fairly soon. Here's a clip about the Jane Street stuff. I actually haven't watched this clip yet. Let's watch it real quick together. This is up there with the worst things that ever happened in cryptocurrency. Was Jane Street the secret villain behind Terra's $40 billion crypto catastrophe? In a development that could reshape perceptions of one of the cryptocurrency's most famous failures, this was the collapse of Terra Luna and their algorithmic stablecoin. A federal lawsuit accuses quantitative trading firm Jane Street of exploiting confidential information to accelerate the depegging of Terra's UST stablecoin, contributing to a $40 billion wipeout. If what we're about to go over was actually malicious and using insider information, then I hope there's people that have to really pay the consequences. Jane Street obtained confidential details about Terraform's emergency moves through insider connections. You can see the date right here, what happened, May 8, 2022. Terraform quietly withdrew 150 million UST from Curve's 3 pool. Okay, that was the main liquidity pool for Terra Luna stablecoin. Minutes later, a wallet linked to Jane Street allegedly executed the largest single UST sell in that pool's history, dumping 85. See, this is what I thought Zach XBT's article was going to be about. Not about some degen, sniping meme coins early on anything. That was a good interview with Al Green yesterday. Zach XBT paid to investigate insider trading. Hypes up announcement, doesn't say who it is. Pump Fund employees put huge bets on it being Axiom. Turns out it's Axiom, and it's about wallet tracking. All that hype because a guy was just tracking KOL wallets. Then Pump Fund employees just randomly placing 5- and 6-figure bets, making more than what Axiom team members were accused of making. I agree. It's kind of a nothing burger. And this is the guy accused. Poor guy. I mean, I get it. He was using like insider information to find their wallets and to track their wallets, but poor Tom Lee. I wonder how he sleeps. Let's see what he's been posting lately. I mean, the guy's so underwater on Ethereum right now. It's kind of crazy. Yeah, but guys, what a day, man. Had the Anthony Pompliano interview, all that stuff. Circle's doing amazing. Everything looks pretty good. I think we just need to see how BTC looks. It needs a little bit to cool off, though. I know a lot of people freak out when it doesn't go just up, 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 but we got to see. We did go up 10% on BTC, right? We went up. If we come right here, it went up, 12% for Bitcoin. That's a huge asset, right? So a drawdown is expected, or a little bit, especially trying to break out of this. I mean, we essentially went from the bottom of this line all the way up to the top and tried to break through it. I mean, I would have much rather see this retest and bounce up. But, if we come up and we look at some, indicators and we look at just simple stuff such as RSI, you can see that it was very peaked. Look, if we come over here to like the 4 hour, it was up at the top. And so that's what I mean. Keep it simple. You can see when RSI gets up here, it normally goes down. When RSI gets here, that's typically a low bottom. But what we can look for, and what I was happy to see, is that RSI on the 4 hour broke out. And so this is a good sign. This is a good sign right here for anybody looking. My BTC analysis, Chile, let's make sure we get this one. So if we're looking at Bitcoin right now, a lot of people are worried that that pump was all there was to it. But I like to look at RSI more than just actual price in and of itself. And if you look at this, if we are going to see a breakout, we had this downward trend line on RSI that was going back about 2 weeks. We hit here. We hit here. Now we broke out on RSI, and now we're flipping that into support. So if this holds and we don't break out of this for RSI, then that could be a really good thing. And then when you go to the daily and stuff, you can just kind of do the same thing. And so it looks to be cooling off. Let's pull that back up. So this is like a resistance level on the daily, right? So that's what I would be looking for. Not just price, but they all correlate. You'll see if we get up to, 78K or something, it'll probably correlate, come up here and pop, hit that RSI. But going to this low time frame, so if we look at this takes us back to January. Yeah. So if you look at it like this on a longer time frame, it looks like we fell underneath it. If we look at a shorter time frame, it looks like we broke above it. And so I don't know. I am going to be looking at trying to enter along. I think there's a lot of strength in the market. I just think that right now Nvidia is selling off a little bit. If we come over here and we take a look at Nvidia, it pumped yesterday. Everything pumped with it. And then it sold off a little bit, even though it beat earnings across the board, right? And so here's the 4 hour for Nvidia. So, I mean, 212 is the major resistance for Nvidia, but you can see, even though it beat earnings right here, it still fell, over just a matter of a few hours. It fell from 197 to 185. So once this turns around, I think we'll be good to go. Everybody was just waiting on Nvidia earnings. Are we going to the moon? I hope so. I think I think we can get some their financial advice, but I think we can go. I think we have some room to run. I would just, we got to break out of this trend line on BTC. Okay. We tried to break out of it yesterday. If we look at RSI, we need to cool off a little bit. And then I'll leave y'all with this. Levels of resistance. 78K. 72K. 75K. Those are kind of the levels of resistance right now. You know, if we looked at liquidity earlier, we can see there's a lot of liquidity right here at 85K. I think it'll be kind of tough to get up to 85, but if we mark that off right here, this is really me personally the highest I could see us going right now. This level fell under it. Support, 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 resistance, and a ton of liquidity right there. 66,465 looks like a decent level to long if it goes under 6. Yeah, I agree. Yeah, we don't want to lose that if we go to the shorter time frame. So like right here, let me pull that comment back up. 62. So yeah, I would say we definitely don't want to lose this, the 62.4 level, you know. But 64 to 65. You know, the 618, if we take a look, would be this. Let's change that to yellow. And the 0.5 fib level. So we kind of line up a golden pocket kind of thing. Right there. So yeah, maybe we do like this. Somewhere. But yeah, I kind of agree with this comment. I think that's a decent level to look at, and I'll probably look at opening along there. And then it's pretty easy because, you know, it's easy to put the stop loss like right here. You know, I don't normally put the stop loss like this because I've been stopped out more times than I would even care to count. Where this happened, liquidity sweep, boom, you know, and I was like lined up with a low and it stopped me out. So obviously I lost money being stopped out, and then it went up where I would have been in profit. So I always give a little room for a liquidity sweep. But yeah, this is Blowfin. They've been a great partner of the channel. They sponsor these live streams and everything. So if you've been looking for an exchange or something, there will be a link down below or on my X or in the YouTube, wherever. There's lots of links all over the place, but they've been good people to work with, and I'm very appreciative of them. But I'm just afraid that, you know, if we start pumping to like I'm afraid that, you know, if we start pumping to like, let's say we get up to like 65, that there's going to be all these like influencers be like new all-time high, like we're back, baby, we're back. And yeah, they're saying that for clicks, because one thing I've learned is that, you know, people don't want to bear. Like whenever I made my BTC post at like 96K saying, I think we're going lower, I don't think we're going to a new all-time high, you know, nobody likes that, right? Everybody wants to be told that we're going to the moon, but the chart doesn't lie. I've learned that. I've learned that the hard way. I'll say that it's all on the chart. The chart doesn't lie. Deal with the chart and everything else will come will come with it, guys. But hey, we're gonna wrap it up. Had a long morning of recording. Empress and Wendy, looks like they have a show going on. Join at 12 p.m. PST, so that's, I believe, in 1 hour. I will make sure to join into that. But But yeah, I'm going to get that interview out that I had with Mr. Anthony Pompliano. Super excited about that. It was a lot of fun right here. But guys, make sure you follow over on X, follow me over on YouTube, and yeah, check out the stream sponsors. And I appreciate all the support. We will be back tomorrow. Maybe we try different times. Like I said, 1 p.m. We always like double the following. Maybe we try 3 o'clock. We might try some different time zones and stuff just to see what people have more availability for and stuff like that. But normally we do pretty good, and then the clips do amazing. So yeah, I love all of y'all. I appreciate all the support, and we will be back tomorrow.